What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. And today we're excited checking out the Vinhos Deluxe Edition from Eagle Gryphon Games. This is for 2 to 4 players, take about 90 to 180 minutes to play, and it's for ages 12 plus. And wow, the Vinhos Deluxe Edition really does earn its title of Deluxe, because in this box you're going to get the new 2016 version of Vinhos. You're also going to be able to play the old 2010 version of Vinhos. You're going to get all the expansions, which some will be for 2010, some will be for 2016. You're going to get upgrade components. You're going to get a really nice box insert. But is the game good? That's what matters, right? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what's going to get inside the Vinhos Deluxe Edition. Before we get started, I want to mention there is a lot going on in this game. Just tons and tons. I'm going to cover the 2010 edition, the 2016, all the expansions, all the components, and the pros and cons. But for right now, I'm just going to try and give you a feel for how the 2016 version works without hopefully rambling. So first and foremost, we got our handy-dandy rule booklet. It's, I believe, 15, 16 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, and it's incredibly well done. You're going to have to go back to it quite frequently when you're first starting the game, but still, big thumbs up on the rule booklet. Also, to help you along the way, you are going to get the Vinhos Deluxe Edition's reference book, which will show you all the components in the game, which is always very, very helpful. And then it's going to show you exactly how you are going to set up the game, step by step by step. It's going to tell you about all the different tiles that you'll have in the game. And then also it does the same thing for the 2010 version of the game and all the different areas of the West Coast where you are going to be building your wineries. But that's not all, because you're also going to get this handy-dandy player aid card, which will help you out with the various different actions. And while it looks like it's huge, this is actually 2010 edition, this is 2016 edition, so it's not so bad, but I will say it's very useful when you're first starting the game. So, in Vinhos Deluxe Edition, what are you going to be doing? You are going to be trying to get victory points by brewing wine. And you're going to be brewing wine on your board right here. This is your central hub. You have room for your barrels right here. This is where you're going to store your barrels of wine. Then you have room for money. And then the important things are right these 5 spots. These are the 5 estates that you will be able to build. You need estates to produce the wine. Once you produce wine, it will go down here in your cellar. But along the way, you'll be able to upgrade your estates. You'll be able to get wineries, get farmers, get cellars, get all sorts of things to make your estates even better. Now, the main aspect of this game is really simple. It's just going to be that you're going to be moving your pawn from spot to spot to spot, wherever you want to move it, and then taking an action. But when you do that, you might potentially have to pay money. And we'll get more into that a little bit later. So we're going to go briefly, very briefly, over all the components on the board, and then I'm going to walk you through a turn so you can see exactly how it works. So up here, we're going to have some action tiles. When you first start the game, you will get an action tile. Also, you can get some more throughout the game. And these are very useful because it's not like Lords of Waterdeep where you put your guy there and you do that action. This is in addition to doing another action. So they're just kind of like bonus plus perks that you'll be able to do when you take actions. Very cool. You also start the game with 1. So those are really nice. The purple ones, on the other hand, are going to be ways that you'll be able to score victory points. So those are just straight up victory points towards the end of the game. Moving to the middle here, we're going to have our weather tile. So at the beginning of every single year, or every round, which will 1 round, 2 round, 3 round, 4 round, 5 rounds, at the beginning of each round, you are going to be flipping over one of these, and this is going to tell you a lot of stuff on it. So we're just going to focus on this left side right here. That's going to tell you the weather, and that's going to tell you what that is going to do to the wine that you're producing. Some will make them better, some will make them worse. They will show you various different things. Bottom left is going to tell you, you know what, we're going to skip that. We'll talk about it a little bit later because we haven't even talked about that. So the main part in the middle is going to be the actions. And I will go over the actions in a second, but I just want to address that there are going to be different actions that you can take. Down here is where you are going to send your barrels. So you have these barrels. Eventually you will have wine, which are these tokens right here, these nice double-sided tokens. And you can send your wine to various different establishments. You can either send them locally to hotels and bars and casinos and all sorts of things. And then you can get money by placing them here. Or you can place them over here and ship them overseas. Now, the risk of doing this is you do not get money, but what you get is victory points at the end of the game. So that is a huge way to score points, especially when it gets to the area majority, because there's a little area majority aspect here as well. Moving on over here, these are going to be various different things you can buy to upgrade your estates. You can have farmers and econologists. The econologists go into wineries. The farmers go onto your actual spot where you're going to have grapes. You'll have cellars, because you start off with these weak cellars right here, but you can purchase one of these upgraded cellars, which will allow you to store more wine, and it also will make it so that you can age your wine. And if you're willing to be patient, then you can get some really powerful wine doing that. Last but not least, we have wineries over here. They're double-sided. You can put a winery on a white wine place or a red wine place. These are going to up the value of your wine when you're shipping it to places or shipping it abroad or taking it to the wine fairs, doing various different stuff. So these are all upgrade spots right here. To the left over here is where you are going to get your grapes. And you can get your grapes, you can build estates in various different parts of the West Coast. And which spot you go is very important, because each of these spots, and 3 of them are actually covered, or 2 of them are covered because I have a 2-player game set up, is going to do some different things. So this one will give you a free cellar if you build there. This one will give you a free farmer. This one will give you a free winery. Some of them will make it more valuable at the wine fairs, or more valuable when you're shipping them, or doing various different stuff. So which ones you go to are important. And when you want to purchase them, you'll just take your little token there to represent that you are now in that area. You will place it down. You will pay the cost on the back, like so. Put it right there. And then you're going to place a cube here. I'm not even going to go into why you're placing cubes here too much. All you need to know is that when you build a winery in this area, or when you build a cellar in this area, you are going to add these prestige cubes, and you'll be able to sell these prestige cubes in order, or excuse me, not sell them, but get rid of them in order to bump up the quality of your wine if you're shipping it or if you're taking it to the wine fair. Next, we have these tiles right here. They work somewhat similarly to these tiles right here, where they will give you additional special abilities, additional perks that you will be able to do, but they also have a secondary special ability that you can use these wine experts to kind of coerce the wine fair people based on these tiles right here. So for instance, if I was going to the wine fair and I had a red guy, I could get rid of this red guy, and then boom, the quality of my red wine would go up 3 because this snooty person said that that wine is really good, and the judges were like, yeah, I agree with that person. So last spot on the board is the wine fair. This is the big ho dog shedang. That's though neither of those things are words. This is a big part of the game, because you are going to have 3 wine fairs in the game, and we will get into that after we go through the actions. So let's start talking about the actions in the game, but let's talk about what you're going to be doing on your turn. First thing you're going to be doing is, when it's your turn, you are going to move one of your people. Now, if you move to a spot that is right next to you orthogonally, and you are not landing on somebody else, and you're not landing on the little round tracker, then you get to make that move for free. However, if you move more than one space, or you move diagonally, then you will have to start paying money to the bank. And if you move to a spot where someone else is, then you have to pay them money in addition to whatever other money you would have to pay. But let's start talking about the various different action spaces. And we're going to start with the simplest ones first. So first and foremost, we'll go over the top row. Right here, you go there, you are going to be able to build a winery, which are these guys right down here. You place it on your spot, you flip to whichever side you do, you place a cube into that particular region, like so, and then that's your turn. You can build up to 2 wineries. And you can also have 2 wineries on an estate if you would like as well. You go right here, pretty simple. You're going to build a cellar. You can build up to 2 cellars. They cost $3 a pop, and when you build a cellar, you once again are going to put a cube in that spot as well. Last but not least, on the top row, and also on the bottom right row, you are going to be able to purchase various different grapes, estates, have you will. So, for instance, if I went to this spot right here, then I might start purchasing things in Lisboa. I might spend $5, so I'd put that right down there. I would put my little token to represent that I am now in Lisboa. I would also put that right there, and I'm happy with that purchases. But since I purchase in Lisboa, I automatically also get a free winery, because that is the special ability on that spot. Pretty cool as well, and you can purchase up to 2 there. Continuing on down, if you go to this spot right here, you can purchase wine experts, and you can purchase 1 or 2 of these wine experts for $1 a pop, and you get the one on the top, so you're never quite sure what's going to be underneath it. So that's just to purchase wine experts. We're going to save the middle spot for last, because that's going to deal with turn order first and foremost, but primarily it's going to deal with the wine fair. You're going to be sending out a press release to the people at the wine fair, but we'll talk about that later. So next you can get econologists and you can get farmers. Econologists go in your winery. Farmers are going to go on your spots where you have grapes, and these are going to bump up the quality of your wine whenever you produce wine. The last two spots that we haven't talked about, because these two are duplicates, are shipping internationally and shipping locally. Shipping internationally will give you victory points, and then that will keep your barrel there, but you'll get victory points at the end of the game as well. Shipping locally, you will lose the barrel, but only for two actions, then you'll get it back, but you instantly gain a bunch of money, which might be exactly what you need. So those are all the actions in the game. I mean, it looks incredibly complex, but in actuality, I just listed all the primary actions. Now let's start talking about the wine fair. So when you send out a press release, that means that your wine is ready to go. You are popping. You got some great wine. So let's just pretend we got this guy right here. So we got this 6, plus it's in the +3 spot in the cellar. So bada boom, we would have +9 popping wine, and we are ready to go to the wine fair. Here's what you're going to do. When you send your wine over to the wine fair, you are going to get a specific amount of wine points. You also get to place your little token on one of these spots right here, and this will dictate turn order for the next at the beginning of the next round, which is very important as well. So if you go right here, you're not going to get a special ability, but you are guaranteed to go first in the future, whereas if you go right here, you're going to start getting special things. But the really interesting aspect of going to the wine fair is that at the end of each wine fair, and the wine fairs are symbolized with this little spot right here, whoever's in first is going to get victory points, just flat victory points, and that person stays in first. So let's just say that this is the end of the first wine fair. I would get 9 points, and Purple would get 6 points, but we would actually keep our wine fair points up there, and then during the second wine fair, we would just add to that. So let's just say I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That person got 7. I would once again get more victory points than they did. And as you progressively go to the first, second, and third wine fair, you're going to get more and more points at the wine fair. So, you're going to continue to do this. You're going to be doing this for 6 rounds. Once you get past the final wine fair, you will go to this spot right here, and then you're going to tally up your points. And this, luckily, is very helpful. It'll tell you how many points you're going to get for money, for your wine, for shipping over here, and for your purple tokens. And whoever has the most points will be the winner of Vinhos Deluxe Edition. And that, in a crazy nutshell, is how the game is played. Alrighty then, Vinhos Deluxe Edition from Eagle Gryphon Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. First, 2 to 4 players, restricted player count. Also, this is on the meatier side of games, especially if you're playing the 2010 version of the game, which I actually do like better than the 2016, even though, spoiler, I like both of them an awful lot. But, continuing on, this is the kind of game that can really scare people away when you're first starting to set up the game and when you're first explaining the game if they're not into games that look meatier, because this one really does look just incredibly daunting and intimidating. One thing I'd recommend is setting out the game before your people arrive. That's going to make teaching the game a lot easier as well. Another con that I have with the game is, I don't know if this is really a con, but I like the 2010 version better than the 2016 version. The 2016 version, I don't want to say it feels dumbed down, but it definitely feels, I feel like it loses just a little bit of control. Whereas but that being said, I feel like the 2010 version of the game is more difficult to explain, and it's slightly longer, so I definitely see why most people, I think, are going to like the 2016 version of the game. But that being said, if you get this, I would recommend, if you're looking for a heavier experience, starting with the 2010 version and then going on to the 2016 version. But it's really up to you, and you can't go wrong with either of them, because either way, this is an excellently designed game. Any other cons that I have with the game? I mean, no. I mean, as long as you go into this knowing that it's going to be somewhat difficult to teach, it's going to be a bear to set up and put everything back in the box, and that it's a little bit on the meatier side, Vinhos Deluxe is a fantastic game. Like, there's not too many games out there that I would say deserve this kind of insane treatment. But this game, wow, it really blew me away. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to talk about each of the different aspects of this game and give you my thoughts on it. So first, component-wise, the components are absolutely fantastic, outstanding, top-notch, just in the 1% of board game components. Like, they went deluxeified with this, and it feels deluxeified, so you don't have to worry about the components. Also, I like the artwork. I like just everything aesthetically about this game. It has a great box insert. The box is very large, but it holds everything pretty snugly and pretty nicely, which is good. So let's start talking about the 2010 version of the game. I like it a little bit better than the 2016 version of the game. I felt like it just gave me a little bit more control. But that being said, the 2016 version of the game is still a lot of fun. And if I never played the 2010 version of the game and just played the 2016 version of the game, I don't think I'd ever miss it. Because the 2010 version of the game just has so many cool, interesting aspects. And I just love how simple the game is once you know what you're doing. This is the kind of game that begs for replays because you want to play with the same group of people who already know how to play, and you can just try different strategies. You can go to different parts of the regions, which I really like. I like how the cubes work. I like how you're going to be upgrading your thing, and you might get the economist, you might get the farmer, you might get the seller. I like how there's short-term game versus long-term game, where it's like, oh, do I want to ship this brew locally, or do I want to ship it internationally? Because I don't know if I want to lose my beer barrel. And I even forgot to mention in the middle part, one of the biggest part of the wine fair is that you're trying to appease those different wine critics so that you can get your barrels back. And that's definitely going to have a huge impact on when you decide to send out a press release, because if you can meet two of those criteria, it's like, oh, this is good, you know, I don't really have anything else better to do, so I'm going to send out this press release, which means it's going to give me these extra barrels, and now I don't even have to worry about the wine fair. I can worry about focusing on other things. I really like that. I love how the wine ages, which is something that they also did in Viticulture, another absolutely outstanding game, and I will get back to Viticulture and tell you which one I like better in a second. But yeah, 2010, 2016, they're both fantastic games. They got lots of moving parts, lots of moving pieces, but wow, once you know what's going on under the hood, it is a lot of fun constructing your wineries and moving around your people, and I just really enjoyed that in the wine fair. I love the wine fair. Now, let's start talking about the expansion. So first, we got the tasting room pack. This one is pretty much just all cosmetic stuff that's going to make your game look prettier. And you know what? I love stuff that makes my game look prettier, so I'm a big fan of this. It's also going to give you these big chunky houses for your wineries, which is really cool as well. Next we have the wooden tourist meeples, and I really like the wooden tourist. I would never not play with the wooden tourist, and it just gives you this extra tile where now you can purchase wooden tourists instead of just economists and farmers, and then they go into your cellars and they're going to improve the quality of your wine. It's a very small addition to the game. You just place this tile on there, but it's a very good one. Really like that one. Next, we have the Expert Tile Pack, which is going to give you 32. Yes, it's going to give you a boatload of new wine experts that you'll be able to put in there. I think it's broken down into 8 different types, and they have really cool special abilities, and I would never not play with those as well. Now, I believe it recommends that you kind of mix it up and you specifically pick stuff out, but I actually like the fun variant where you just throw them all in there and it goes all willy-nilly, because I love, and that's another thing that I love in this game, is how those wine experts work. They're just going to be giving you a +1 action, so you'll be able to do something a little bit extra on your turn, or you can save them to bump up your wine for that wine fair. I like the small choices that they add into there. So next, we have the Connoisseur Pack, which is going to add double-sized cellars, double-sized winery, and double-sized vineyards, which is pretty self-explanatory. They make your stuff better, and yes, I wholeheartedly recommend these. I would never not play with them again. They are awesome. Next, we have the Phylloxera vintage tile. I don't know how to pronounce it. All you need to know is the jerk tile. So essentially this is going to pop up and you're not going to be able to brew any wine because bugs are going to run rampant on there. I really like that tile. It adds just this little... I will say though, we played with it once and it came up towards the very end of the game and it completely screwed somebody over. Even though we were all bracing for it, and you have to announce that you're playing with that tile when you're playing with that tile, because if someone is ill-prepared for that, and maybe it's right before the wine fair or the year of the wine fair, then somebody can really get screwed over. But I like that tile an awful lot as well. Last but not least, we have the Deluxe Islands Pack, which is going to add 2 new regions where you'll be able to get your wine. Really big fan of this expansion. It looks cool on the table as well, because it looks like there's these 2 extra islands on the board, but one of them is going to give you tourists, and then one of them is going to allow you to produce the kind of wine you want. So even if you only produce red wine here, you can now start producing white wine, or vice versa. Really like all the expansions. I have played 1 mega game with everything in there. Wholeheartedly recommend it. Once you got about 2 or 3 games under your belt, it should not be a problem at all. So, in the end, this review took quite a long time, both to shoot and also to do, just because there is so much in this box to explore. There's tons of different modules that you can add or not add in. There's 2 different versions of the game to play. Beautiful components. In the end, Vinhos Deluxe Edition is an absolute slam dunk. If you are interested in this game, this is the version of the game you are going to want to get. It has all those extra expansions, 2 versions of the game. I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. Vinhos Deluxe Edition, fantastic. If you're in the market for a 2 to 4 player, heavier, but still not, terribly 3 to 4 hours heavy game, this is definitely one you're going to want to check out. That is Vinhos Deluxe Edition from Eagle Griffin Games. Wholehearted recommendation. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below and in the comments below. If you played Vinhos, which do you like better, Viticulture or Vinhos? Because I think those are the only 2 wine-making games that I can think of. I said I was going to answer this, and I totally forgot about it, so I'm talking about it now. And that's a really difficult question. I feel like they're 2 completely different beasts of a game, and it honestly depends on my mood, which is really saying something about how much I like Vinhos, because Viticulture is in my top 100 games of all time. Vinhos is definitely more of a thinky game. It's less of a swingy game, whereas Viticulture has those seasonal visitor cards, which are just incredibly swingy, but I love those cards at the same time. So it really depends on my mood, honestly, which one I like better. I think I give the slight nod to Viticulture just because it plays 6-player, but either way, I can't go wrong with either of them. But let me know in the comments below, which one did you like better? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.